They caged her in the city square as a warning until a human stepped up and broke the law. Marcus adjusted his camera lens as he approached the city square, the morning sun casting harsh shadows across the concrete. As a journalist for the Independent News Network, he had covered many stories, but nothing quite like this. A metallic cage gleamed in the center of the square, drawing crowds of curious and angry citizens. Inside the reinforced prison sat a figure unlike anything he had ever seen. Her skin held an ethereal quality, shifting between deep purple and silver like liquid moonlight. Despite her alien features, there was something undeniably graceful about her movements. This was Xenia, the captured alien that the government displayed as a warning to her people. The crowd hurled insults and debris at the cage. But Marcus noticed how she never flinched. Her large, luminous eyes held a sadness that seemed to pierce through the hatred surrounding her. Captain Torres, the head guard, stood nearby with his arms crossed, clearly enjoying the spectacle. "She's dangerous," Torres announced to the gathering. "Crowder kind destroyed 3 of our outer colonies. This is what happens when they dare to set foot on Earth's soil." Marcus frowned, pulling out his recorder. Something about Torres's words felt rehearsed, almost mechanical. He began taking photos, but found himself focusing more on Xenia's face than the angry crowd. When their eyes met through the bars, he felt an unexpected jolt of connection. As the afternoon wore on and the crowd thinned, Marcus lingered. He approached the cage cautiously, noting how the guards had moved to a nearby coffee stand. Xenia looked up at him with those remarkable eyes, and he saw intelligence there. Not the savage mindlessness that the propaganda claimed. "You're different." From the others she spoke, her voice like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. The translator device around her neck converted her words into English. Though her accent remained musical and foreign, Marcus glanced around nervously before responding. "I'm a journalist. I'm supposed to be objective. Yet you look at me as if I am more than a monster in a cage." Her fingers wrapped around the cold metal bars, and Marcus noticed how delicate they appeared despite their alien nature. "Ow. You really doing here?" he asked quietly, leaning closer despite himself. "I came to heal, not to harm," Xenia replied, her eyes never leaving his. "My people sent me as an ambassador of peace, but your leaders saw only an opportunity to display their power." Marcus felt his heart racing. The official reports claimed she was a scout for an invasion force. Looking at her now, seeing the gentleness in her manner, he began to doubt everything he had been told. "Why should I believe you?" he whispered. Xenia extended her hand through the bar's palm up in a gesture of trust. "'Cause your heart already knows the truth." Marcus Chen, he startled at hearing his name. "How do you? I have been watching you since they brought me here. You are the only one who looks at me with curiosity instead of fear." Her voice grew softer. "The only one who sees me as a person rather than a symbol." Marcus found himself reaching toward her outstretched hand, drawn by an inexplicable magnetism. The moment their fingertips touched, a warm sensation spread through his entire body. It was unlike anything he had ever experienced, as if their very souls were recognizing each other. "I have to go," he said reluctantly, pulling his hand back. As he heard Torres approaching, "Will you return?" Xenia asked, hope flickering in her luminous eyes. Marcus nodded without thinking, already knowing that he would be back, despite the danger it might bring. 3 days later, Marcus found himself returning to the square under cover of darkness. The night guards were fewer and less attentive, more focused on their card games than on watching a supposedly helpless prisoner. He had spent the intervening time researching everything he could find about the alien conflicts, and the more he learned, the more questions arose. Xenia was awake when he approached, as if she had been waiting for him. The moonlight cast an otherworldly glow on her features, making her appear even more beautiful and mysterious. "You came back," she said softly, moving closer to the bars. "I had to. Your story doesn't match what they're telling the public." Pulled out a small folding chair he had brought with him. "Tell me what really happened." As Xenia began to speak, Marcus learned about her world, a planet called the Sara, where her people lived in harmony with nature. She was a healer, trained in both medicine and diplomacy, sent to Earth after intercepting human distress signals from the outer colonies. We wanted to help, she explained, her voice heavy with regret. But when our ships arrived, your military attacked first and asked questions later. My escorts were killed, and I was captured while trying to tend to wounded humans and Thessarians alike. Marcus listened intently, recording her words. Why haven't you told this to anyone else? Who would believe me? I am the enemy, displayed here to fuel hatred and justify your government's aggressive policies. Xenia's hand found the bars again, and Marcus reached out to touch her fingers. This time the contact lasted longer. Her skin was warm and smooth, with a texture unlike human skin, but not unpleasant. Marcus found himself stroking her fingers gently, marveling at how natural the gesture felt. This is dangerous for you, Xenia whispered, but she didn't pull away. If they catch you sympathizing with me, ... I don't care, Marcus replied, surprising himself with his honesty. What I care about is the truth. And ... He hesitated, then forged ahead. And I care about you. Xenia's eyes widened slightly. Marcus, you barely know me. I know enough. I know you're gentle and kind. I know you came here to help, not to harm. I know that when I'm with you, everything else fades away. His voice grew husky with emotion. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, hands intertwined through the bars. Marcus told her about his life, his work, his dreams of making a difference through journalism. Xenia shared stories of her homeworld, painting vivid pictures with her words of crystal cities and floating gardens. On the Zara, we believe that souls recognize their matches across any distance, any barrier, Xenia said quietly. We call it the Song of Connection. Do you hear it now? Marcus asked, leaning closer. She whispered, do you? Before he could answer, footsteps approached. Marcus quickly moved away from the cage, but not before Xenia caught his hand one more time. Tomorrow night, she mouthed silently, as he slipped away into the shadows. Marcus knew he was falling for her, despite the impossibility of their situation. The thought both thrilled and terrified him. The next evening brought Dr. Helena Voss, a government scientist who had been studying Xenia's biology. Marcus hid nearby as she approached the cage with her scanning equipment. I know you can understand me perfectly without that translator, Dr. Voss said quietly to Xenia. I also know that young journalist has been visiting you. What? Marcus tensed. Ready to run, but Dr. Voss continued speaking. I've been reviewing your biological scans, and I've made some disturbing discoveries. You're not just a healer, are you? You're something much more important to your people. Xenia remained silent, but Marcus saw her stiffen. You're carrying genetic material from your world's most ancient bloodlines. That's why they really want you here, isn't it? Not as a prisoner, but as a breeding specimen for their experiments. Marcus felt sick as the implications hit him. He waited until Dr. Voss left before approaching the cage. Is it true? He asked. Without preamble, Xenia nodded slowly. I am the last of the pure bloodlines, if they succeed in their experiments. ... She shuddered. They could create hybrid weapons, beings with our abilities, but none of our peaceful nature. Marcus reached through the bars and cupped her face in his hands. I won't let that happen, promise you. How can you stop them? You're just one man. Maybe, but I'm not alone. There are others who believe in truth and justice. He leaned closer until their faces were inches apart. And I love you, Xenia. I don't care what anyone says about it being impossible or wrong. Marcus, ... double quotes, her voice was barely a breath. I love your strength, your compassion, your beautiful soul. I love the way you make me feel like I could be better than I am. Their lips met through the bars in a tender, desperate kiss. It was awkward and brief, hindered by the metal between them, but it sent electricity through both their bodies. When they parted, both were breathing heavily. I love you too, Xenia whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. But how can we ever be together? I'll find a way, Marcus promised. I swear to you, I'll find a way. Dr. Helena Voss contacted Marcus 3 days later through encrypted channels, revealing herself as part of an underground network dedicated to exposing government corruption and protecting innocent aliens. She led him to a hidden facility beneath, the city where he met Rico Santos, a former military officer turned resistance fighter, and Elena Park, a brilliant tech specialist who had been monitoring alien communications. "We've been tracking similar cases across the globe," Rico explained as he showed Marcus's evidence files. "Peaceful aliens captured and displayed publicly while secretly being used for biological experiments. Your friend Xenia isn't the first, and she won't be the last unless we act." Elena pulled up holographic displays showing communication intercepts. "We've been in contact with moderate factions from several alien worlds. They want peace, but our government's actions are pushing their people toward war. What can we do?" Marcus asked, though his heart was already racing with possibility. "We get her out," Rico said simply, "but it won't be easy. The cage is monitored 24/7, and there are backup security systems we haven't fully mapped yet." Voss leaned forward. "There's something else. We intercepted communications suggesting they're planning to move Xenia to a classified facility within the week, once she's there." She shook her head grimly. Marcus felt panic rising in his chest. "Then we have to act now," agreed. "But you need to understand the risks," Elena warned. "If we're caught, it's not just prison time. They'll classify us as traitors and terrorists." "I don't care," Marcus said firmly. "I won't abandon her." Rico studied him carefully. "This isn't just about justice for you, is it?" Marcus met his gaze steadily. "No, I love her." There was a moment of silence before. Rico nodded. "Love makes us do crazy things. Let's plan a rescue." That night, Marcus visited Xenia with new hope in his heart. He told her about the Resistance Network and their plans, watching as her eyes lit up with the first real hope he had seen since meeting her. "You would risk everything for me?" she asked, reaching through the bars to touch his face. "I would risk anything for you," he replied, turning his head to kiss her palm. "But it's not just for you. It's for us, for the future we could have together." Xenia's expression grew tender. "On my world, when two souls connect as ours have, we perform a ritual called the bonding of hearts. It cannot be undone, even by death." "What does it involve?" Marcus asked, intrigued. "We share our deepest truths, our fears, our dreams, promise to protect each other's souls above all else." She hesitated. "But it is sacred to my people. I should not offer it to a human." Marcus interrupted gently. "Xenia, I don't care about the differences between our species. I care about you, about us." She smiled, the first truly radiant expression he had seen from her. "Then let us begin." They spent the next hour sharing their most intimate thoughts and feelings. Marcus told her about his childhood fears, his dreams of changing the world through Smo, his writing, his terror that he might not be worthy of her love. Xenia shared her memories of the Sara, her calling as a healer, and her fear that her capture had doomed her people to war. "I promise to protect your soul and your happiness above my own life," Marcus said solemnly, taking her hands through the bars. "And I promise to guard your heart and your dreams as I would my own essence," Xenia replied, her voice thick with emotion. They pressed their foreheads together through the bars. "Act!" And Marcus felt that same electric connection, stronger now, as if their souls were indeed bonding on some fundamental level. "Tomorrow night," he whispered, "Rico's team will create a distraction at the north checkpoint. Elena has a device that can disrupt the cage's locking mechanism for exactly 90 seconds. And if something goes wrong," Xenia asked, "then we'll face it together. I'm not leaving you no matter what happens." They kissed again, more passionately this time, their hands exploring whatever they could reach through the bars. Marcus wished desperately that he could hold her properly, feel her body against his without the cold metal between them.
"Soon."
Xenia murmured against his lips, as if reading his thoughts. "Soon we will be free to love each other as we wish." As Marcus prepared to leave, he felt a mixture of excitement and terror. In less than 24 hours, they would either be free together or captured as fugitives. Either way, there would be no going back. "I love you, Xenia of the Sara," he said softly. "I love you, Marcus Chen of Earth," she replied. "Until tomorrow, my heart." The next evening arrived with unusual cloud cover, providing natural darkness that would aid their escape. Marcus positioned himself at his usual spot near the cage, while Rico's team prepared the distraction. His heart hammered against his ribs. As he watched Xenia, who appeared calm despite the circumstances, At exactly midnight, explosions echoed from the north checkpoint. Shouts and sirens filled the air as guards rushed toward the disturbance, leaving only 2 men watching the square. Elena's signal came through Marcus's earpiece, initiating electromagnetic pulse in 3.1. The lights around the square flickered and died. In the darkness, Marcus heard the distinctive click of the cage lock disengaging. He rushed forward, pulling the door open as Xenia stepped out for the first time in weeks. "This way," he whispered, leading her toward the pre-planned escape route through the old subway tunnels. They had made it only a few blocks when shouts erupted behind them. Captain Torres's voice cut through the night. "The alien has escaped. Lock down all exits." Marcus pulled Xenia into a narrow alley between abandoned buildings. They pressed against the brick wall, breathing heavily as flashlight beams swept past their hiding spot. In the darkness, Xenia's skin seemed to glow faintly, and Marcus realized she was frightened. "Hey," he whispered, pulling her into his arms. "We're going to make it." "I'm scared," she admitted, her body trembling against his. "Not of being recaptured, but of what might happen to you because of me?" "I don't think about that now," Marcus replied, stroking her hair. It felt like silk between his fingers, the subtle texture that was uniquely alien yet beautiful. They heard footsteps approaching and pressed deeper into the shadows. Xenia's fear seemed to trigger something in her biology, her skin's luminescence dimmed until she was nearly invisible in the darkness. Marcus marveled at this unexpected ability as they waited for the patrol to pass. When the coast was clear, they continued through the winding alleys toward the subway entrance Elena had designated. But as they rounded a corner, they found Captain Torres waiting for them with a squad of soldiers. "Did you really think we wouldn't anticipate this?" Torres sneered, his weapon trained on them. "We've been monitoring your little romance, Chen. Very touching, very stupid." Marcus stepped protectively in front of Xenia, his mind racing for options. "She's innocent. She came here to help, not to harm anyone." "She's a valuable asset," Torres replied coldly. "And you're a traitor to your own species," Xenia said, moving to stand beside Marcus. "He's showing what humanity can be at its best, what you fear most." Torres's face twisted with anger. "Enough. Take them both." As the soldiers moved forward, Xenia suddenly pressed her hand to Marcus's chest. Energy flowed between them, and he felt strength and speed he had never possessed. Together they broke through the circle of soldiers, Xenia's touch somehow enhancing his human capabilities. They ran through the labyrinthine subway tunnels, their footsteps echoing off the tiled walls. Behind them, the sounds of pursuit grew closer. When they reached a maintenance shaft, Marcus boosted Xenia up first, then pulled himself after her, in the cramped space. They found themselves pressed close together, hearts pounding in unison. Despite the danger, Marcus felt overwhelmed by her proximity, by the way her body fit against his. "Xenia," he breathed, his hands finding her face in the darkness. "I know," she whispered back, understanding his unspoken need. Their lips met in a desperate, passionate kiss that spoke of love and fear and hope, all mingled together. Marcus's hands explored her back, marveling at the smooth strength of her form, while her fingers tangled in his hair. "I want to be with you," he murmured against her neck. "Really be with you?"
"And I with you,"
she replied, her voice husky with desire. "But not here, not like this. When we're safe, when we're free." A loud clang interrupted them as the soldiers found their hiding place. They climbed higher through the maintenance system, emerging finally in the basement of an old church that Elena had identified as a safe house. Rico was waiting for them with grim news. "They've got roadblocks at every exit from the city." Torres is calling in military backup. "We may be trapped." Marcus felt despair creeping in, but Xenia squeezed his hand reassuringly. "There may be another way," she said quietly, "but it's risky." "What do you mean?" Rico asked. "I can send a signal to my people, let them know where I am. But if they come for me..." She looked at Marcus with anguished eyes. It could start the war everyone fears. Marcus saw the terrible choice before them: remain trapped and likely captured, or call for rescue that might doom both their species to conflict. "There has to be another option," he said firmly. There has to be. But even as he spoke, they could hear vehicles surrounding the church, trapping them with nowhere left to run. As the sounds of the military cordon tightened around the church, Xenia made a decision that surprised everyone. Instead of sending a distress signal to her people, she activated a different communication device hidden in her clothing. "What are you doing?" Marcus asked anxiously. "Trusting in something I hoped I would never need," she replied, her fingers dancing over the device's surface. Within minutes, a figure emerged from the shadows of the church hall, dignified, alien with silver skin and kind eyes. Marcus instinctively moved to protect Xenia, but she placed a calming hand on his arm. "Ambassador Kane," she said with relief. "I was hoping you had remained hidden." Ambassador nodded gravely. "I have been monitoring the situation, young healer. Your courage has not gone unnoticed." He turned to Marcus and the resistance members. "Nor has yours, brave humans." Rico stepped forward suspiciously. "How did you get past the military cordon?" Ambassador Kane smiled sadly. "Because I have been in negotiations with your President Walsh for weeks. This entire situation has been ... complicated." Dr. Voss frowned. "What do you mean?" "Genia's capture was not entirely accidental," the ambassador explained. "There are factions within both our governments who want war. They arranged for her ship to be attacked, knowing that her imprisonment would inflame tensions." Marcus felt anger rising. "So she was bait?" "Not intentionally," Xenia said softly. "But when I was captured, some saw an opportunity to use my suffering for their political gains." Ambassador Kane activated a holographic communicator, and President Walsh's image appeared in the air above them. "Mr. Chen, Dr. Voss, I owe you all an explanation." The president looked tired and somewhat ashamed. "We've been fighting a shadow war within our own government. There are those who believe humanity's future depends on conquering or enslaving other species. Ambassador Kane and I have been working to expose them. Your escape tonight has forced their hand," Ambassador Kane added. "Captain Torres and his supporters are attempting a military coup as we speak. They believe they can use fear of alien invasion to seize control." Marcus felt the world spinning around him. "So what happens now?" President Walsh leaned forward. "Now we reveal the truth. Xenia's testimony, combined with the evidence you've gathered, will expose the conspiracy. But it requires her to speak publicly, to show the world who she really is." "That's dangerous for her?" Marcus protested, moving closer to Xenia. "Yes," she agreed quietly. "But it's the right thing to do. My people and yours deserve peace, not war built on lies and hatred." 2 hours later, as dawn broke over the city, an unprecedented press conference began. Xenia stood at a podium in the city square, no longer caged but free to speak her truth. Marcus stood nearby, his heart swelling with pride as she addressed the world. "I came to your world as a healer and an ambassador," she said, her voice carrying clearly through the microphones. "I was imprisoned not because I posed a threat, but because some feared what peace might mean for their power." The crowd was initially hostile, but as she spoke, sharing her healing knowledge, offering to help with Earth's environmental problems, describing her people's desire for friendship, the mood began to shift. Marcus watched from the side, recording everything, until Xenia gestured for him to join her at the podium. "This human," she said, placing her hand in his, "showed me that love can transcend any barrier, any difference. He risked everything to save me. Not because I am alien or human, but because he saw me as a person deserving of freedom and dignity." The cameras captured their intertwined hands, the obvious affection between them, and Marcus saw something. Change in the crowd's faces. The hatred and fear were giving way to curiosity and wonder. "Are you really in love with her?" a reporter called out. Marcus looked at Xenia, seeing encouragement in her luminous eyes. "Yes," he said simply. "I love her completely. She's shown me what it means to choose understanding over fear, compassion over hatred." Over the following weeks, the conspiracy was exposed and the warhawks were arrested. Captain Torres faced charges for treason and crimes against sentient beings. Dr. Voss was honored for her courage in protecting Xenia, while Rico and Alina received commendations for their resistance work. Marcus and Xenia became symbols of a new era of human-alien cooperation. Their relationship, once forbidden and dangerous, now represented hope for peaceful coexistence between species. On a warm evening 6 months later, they stood together on the balcony of their shared apartment, watching the stars emerge in the darkening sky. Xenia wore a flowing dress that complemented her alien beauty, while Marcus had his arms wrapped around her from behind. "You ever regret it?" he asked softly. "For choosing to stay here with me instead of returning to the Sara?" Xenia leaned back against his chest, feeling safe and loved. "My home is wherever you are," she replied. "Besides, there's too much work to do here. The healing centers we're building, the cultural exchange programs, the wedding we're planning," Marcus added with a smile, nuzzling her neck. "Yes. Though I still think it's unusual that humans require such elaborate ceremonies to celebrate love." Marcus turned her in his arms, looking into her eyes that had first captured his heart. "It's not about the ceremony. The whole world that we choose each other every day, no matter what challenges come." "Then I can hardly wait," Xenia whispered, before pulling him down for a kiss. As their lips met under the starlight, both felt the same electric connection that had first drawn them together in the darkness beside a cage. But now it was free to grow and flourish, a testament to the power of love to overcome any barrier, any difference, any fear. Their story had begun with imprisonment and hatred, but it would continue with freedom, understanding, and a love that bridged to worlds.